When you immigrate to a new place, don't be scared to go out of your comfort zone. As much as we come with that mindset of like, oh, when I get there, I want to be times, even if you try to Canadianize stuff and like not do what you're used to, you then end up not having and what is organic product.
A lot of people are applying online. They're not getting any responses.
Temping helped to like just kind of navigate that part of moving to a new country. Stuff that relates to me, stuff that relates to Zimbabwe, stuff that relates to things that we saw growing up.
Welcome to Our Immigration Stories as told by Canadian Immigrants Restaurant Week edition. If you like what we're doing here, the simplest way to support is to like, share, and subscribe.
We just went to New Brunswick, virtually, of course, and now we are in Nova Scotia. Right? Back in Nova Scotia. I was in Nova Scotia last year. Too bad I didn't know about you then, but when I come back, I'll know about you.
Please do. Please.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are here with Rue. She is from Zimbabwe, also from Canada. We're going to hear more about her story today. And she is another restaurant owner who is participating in the Restaurant Week by Blacks.com. This is our opportunity to learn about Zimbabwe food, but also learn about an immigrant, Canadian immigrant business owner, entrepreneur. There's lots of things that we can learn from each other. And I'm looking forward to diving into your story, Rue, and hearing more about your culture and your food. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to have this conversation with you today.
Yes, I'm glad to meet you. And I'm serious that when I come back to Nova Scotia,
I'll be expecting your call.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about you, like your journey as you're first generation Canadian, your parents are from Zimbabwe. So you have a little bit of a different introduction to Canada compared to some of the people who came here, like me, who came to school and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you didn't spend all of your life here in Canada, right?
No, I didn't.
So tell me a little bit about your journey, you being Canadian, Zimbabwean. That's right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Tell me a little bit about that journey and your background.
Sounds good. I will get into it. So my parents moved to Canada. My dad was doing a master's at McGill University. I think it was 1990. I'm about to expose my age, but yes. And then I was born here in 1991. And then I spent the first couple of years of my life in Montreal with my parents, I think until I was about 3. And then my parents decided to move back home. My dad is very career driven. And so we lived in a bunch of places all over. But predominantly, I spent my years in Zimbabwe. I grew up there. Both of my brothers are now here as well.
Okay.
But my parents are still there. Okay. And then in 2010, I decided that I wanted to come back to study, to do undergrad here. Yes. And then I moved back to Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for 4 years for my undergrad. Okay. And then I was figuring stuff out. And then I decided to leave Canada for a little bit. Okay. I went back home and then I went to do a master's in South Africa. I think I spent about 2 to 3 years between South Africa and Zimbabwe. And then I moved to Nova Scotia in 2018. Yes. Wow. So I've been in Nova Scotia since 2018.
Okay. And that's an interesting hop, skip, jump because like
exactly.
A lot of people are
a lot of going on. Yeah.
But that's amazing though, because like a lot of people are trying to go to school in Canada, right? And you would have. And you went home. I mean, of course, that was parent driven. You were 3, you couldn't.
Yeah.
But then you went back, you came to Ottawa, right? It's good.
Yeah.
So, but you were born in Montreal.
Yes, I was born in Montreal. Not at all. Barely. I understand a little bit, but like I didn't keep with it because in Zimbabwe it's just English and like the local languages like Shona, Ndebele, and a couple more languages. But like if you're in a school that allows you to like actually take French, you can take it, but it's not like spoken like that. Yeah.
Got it. All right. So, and your parents, they never became Canadian residents or anything?
No, they never. No. My dad was on a student visa. And then after his program ended, I think they stayed for a couple of years and then moved back home. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think it was for a job and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So you're
Mhm.
first generation Canadian. Your parents decided to go back, which I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people are right now are considering should we stay in Canada or should we go back?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So then now you decided to go to Nova Scotia. So even though you had, Ottawa influence, you decided to go
Yes.
to Nova Scotia. What prompted the Nova Scotia?
What prompted my move to Halifax was actually my brother was here. He
Okay.
had started his undergrad too. So when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go back to Ottawa, I felt when I was there, I felt like Ottawa was a little bit competitive in terms of
Oh.
career
Hmm.
and in terms of growth
Hmm.
and in terms of it's a big city.
Hmm.
So and I grew up in a big city. I wanted more like a slow pace, and Nova Scotia, Halifax to be specific, is kind of a little slower compared
Oh
to
yeah.
Ottawa and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but pretty much my brother influenced me to come here. But like I didn't want to go back to Ottawa just because of like, it's a big city, competition, and like
Hmm.
I felt like career growth wouldn't be as quicker as it would be here in Nova Scotia.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So
Mhm.
speaking of career growth, because now you
Yes.
are in food services, restaurant, you're a restaurant owner. And I know
Yeah.
yours is not a traditional storefront, it's a pop-up.
Hmm.
So tell me a
Hmm.
little bit about this career goal that you were having when you were here and
Hmm.
when you got into the restaurant business.
Okay. So growing up, I've always been entrepreneurial. When I was back home, I did a
Hmm.
couple of businesses. I did a hair business.
Mm,
I did a bunch of stuff. So when I moved to Halifax, so I've always wanted to be a business owner,
okay.
and I'm always trying to sell something ever since. So outside of the restaurant stuff, I actually do have a full-time job. I work for
Okay.
the city.
Okay.
So during COVID, I was like in between careers and
Mhm.
stuff. So
Mhm.
I took some time off work, working full time.
Yeah.
And during that time, I was trying to figure out what can I do to still make money, but something
Mhm.
that's not like it's COVID. People are not going out to eat,
Mhm.
and it's probably you're eating the same thing over and over again. And that was when the hype of like following recipes was coming along and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
So, and I'm the oldest of three. Just hosting has always been a part of my life.
Okay.
I grew up a lot around my grandma from my mom's side, my maternal grandma. She was into hosting. She always used to have us around in her kitchen and her house. And I loved cooking. And my family always says I cook the best food. So I then started to think about like, what can I do during COVID that will give me money, but wouldn't require too much of like it's a passion.
Yeah.
I can do I cook already, so it's something I'm able to
Mhm.
work on. So
Yeah.
that's how the idea came up.
Mhm.
So during COVID, I did that a little bit, the same type of concept, the
Mhm.
pop-up thing,
Mhm.
but it had delivery, it also had pickups.
Okay.
And I decided that I wanted to focus more on Zimbabwean dishes because
Yeah.
obviously the market is flooded with Canadian dishes, American dishes.
Right.
That's stuff people are used to. But
Mhm.
if I focus more on dishes that are more exotic
Right.
and people who are interested in tasting the food, it gives them an opportunity to experience Zimbabwean culture,
Okay.
Zimbabwean food, and the stories behind each meal, like personal stories on my
Yes.
end, and
Mm.
how most of the things that I cook is stuff that I've learned from my grandmother. She's passed now, but her and I were very close. And she
Mhm.
taught me all these recipes, all
Nice.
these good things, and all these stories.
Good.
So in that way, I would want other people to connect with
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
through every dish that I'm like offering. So that's how that idea kind of came together. And then yeah, so I did that during COVID. I think it was like for maybe not the whole year of COVID, like the lockdown
Right.
2020.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then when I went back to full-time work, I kind of paused because life got busy and I had a baby, all these things. Yes. So now I have started again,
Yes.
basically.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
So I guess I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, you did. You did. You did.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
pop-up that happens in a mall. How does the pop-up work?
Before, when I did it before, it was basically like just weekends. It wasn't really like a pop-up. It
Okay.
was just weekend meals, weekend dinners. So Saturday, I think I did it Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
Okay.
So it would be like early dinner, dinner-ish, and then people would pick up and all this. But now what I'm doing now, as stuff opens up for spring, summer, it's more of like events, because there are a lot of events happening, a lot of festivals, as well as doing the weekend thing too. So I have something called the Savannah Weekend Menu.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically it's the rotating dishes on my current catering menu that I rotate every weekend.
Yes.
So that's the kind of model I am working with right now.
Got it. So you're catering. You're doing a lot of catering for these events, for this.
So catering events, and then catering events, like private events, and then also the pop-up at different events that are happening in the city.
Oh, right.
As well as the weekend menus. It just depends on what's happening that weekend. It influences what I'll be doing in terms of the menu and the style of the restaurant dish.
Cool. Okay, cool. So you say you speak a lot about Zimbabwean dishes. Like of course, I don't know. Before now, I spoke to somebody from Nigeria. So now I'm learning about Zimbabwean food. I'm from Jamaica. So when you say Zimbabwean food, what does that mean? I did go through a little bit of your content, and I saw there's two words that you're using, kamusha and muchato. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, you got it right. Yes.
All right. So tell me, what is Zimbabwean, but also like how these words come into your food and your description of what you do.
Okay, sure. So my menu right now is based on, Zimbabwean food is very diverse.
Okay.
So because we have different, I don't want to call them tribes, clans. They're not in Zimbabwe, they're not called tribes. So they're called like clans. We speak a bunch of different languages, and then there's specific foods associated with each people who speak that language.
Got it.
Like some things can be people who speak the Shona language and people who speak the Ndebele language. Sometimes they have similar dishes, but they're not the same.
Got it.
So for me, I'm a Shona speaker. And I try to name my meals on my menu stuff that relates to me, stuff that relates to Zimbabwe, stuff that relates to things that we saw growing up. The ones you're talking about, those are two of the items on the menu.
Okay, so these are dishes, kamusha and muchato are dishes.
Yes.
Kumusha
and muchato are two of the dishes that are on there. So kumusha translates to a village.
Yeah.
The idea of naming that, and that one's a vegetarian dish.
Got it.
So the idea of naming it that, it's basically when you go to the village. Growing up, my dad's side of the family still lived in a rural area in the village. So just going to the village it just represents being together, and the meals that are there, they're homegrown, organic. So you see there that kumusha is basically beans, veggies. And then the people at Kumusha just believe that you eat what you grow. So you work hard, and then you're able to harvest whatever you've grown. Nice. So basically that's where that idea comes from. Just the feeling of wholeness. Nice. Yeah. Exactly. Cool. And then muchato translates to wedding. Okay. So in Zimbabwean weddings, we always laugh that it's not a wedding if we don't have coleslaw. Yes, coleslaw and fried chicken. People call it fried chicken, but we don't really it translates to fried chicken, but it's chicken, but roasted chicken. I guess that's the way you should do it. You should say it. Yeah. Roasted chicken. So every wedding has coleslaw, definitely, and roasted chicken. So I named that meal muchato because it relates directly to a Zimbabwean wedding. At every Zimbabwean wedding, you're surely going to find coleslaw and you're surely going to find roasted chicken.
Okay. Interesting.
So those are the two ones that I have for the restaurant week this year.
Okay.
But my menu has other meals too that are named specific. That's the name specific to relate to specific things that are from home.
Yeah. Right. And then Zimbabwean people would.
Zimbabwean people would understand what I mean. Like, for example, there's one that's called mereki, which is basically like a mixed grill with chicken, sausage, and roasted chicken as well. So mereki is basically like a place where people go hang out, but it's an outdoor place. And they barbecue the meat for you there. They give you the sides there. It's an outdoor place. Like there are tables and like people just hang out, play music. So people from there will relate to the names on the menu, basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So speaking of which, like you said that, okay, so Zimbabwean people would be able to say, muchato, I know that. Zimbabwean food. What is the population like in Nova Scotia of Zimbabwe people, or even people like who is your biggest clientele? Is it people from Zimbabwe? Is it
I would say my biggest clientele as much as Zimbabweans, because the problem with, I don't know if it's Africans or just Black people in general, they feel like sometimes if I'm from Zimbabwe, a person from Zimbabwe won't buy as much. They'll be like, I can make this myself type of thing,
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
Mhm.
You do get like a few people who are interested because they know you make good food.
Yeah.
But the most people who are interested in these meals are not even other Africans as well as Caucasians too. They're
Okay.
interested in like experiencing the culture because it's a different way of cooking, different flavors, you
Yeah.
know. So they're more of my clientele that I try
Mm.
to focus on, but
Yeah.
like Zimbabweans too, but like it's hard to, I don't know, it's a mental thing though sometimes because you feel like I can make this better or something like that. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Mm. Interesting. Well, that
Yeah.
kind of leads into my next question is like, what are some of the challenges that you faced as a restaurant owner or even as a business owner? And though you are first generation Canadian, you still spent a lot of your life outside of Canada. And so you had to come back to Canada and kind of reestablish, rebuild a network because you didn't have friends per se in Nova Scotia apart from your brother and probably friends and
Yes.
who he knew. So what
That's
were some of
true.
the challenges that you had to face and like how did you overcome them as a kind of first generation Canadian but immigrant
Yeah.
business owner?
Yeah. Do you mean like in terms of like just the restaurant side of it or just like as in moving to a new place, just in general?
The first thing that
Okay.
comes to mind.
I think the most challenging thing you spoke about is just starting over, building the relationships. I feel like it was a little bit easier for me because I had someone here, but he had his own life
Yeah.
already. I was starting over trying to build my own life, and that was the hardest thing. And also I think we don't talk about like how hard it is, even if where you're back home, you have this work experience and you think like it'll be easier for you to just assimilate into the Canadian system. It's not as easy to actually find a job within your field or that relates to your experience. So like trying to navigate that, like as much as your resume has all these things, trying to navigate the workforce here, it takes a while to just get that like job that's like, okay, this is that you can see like growth, that you can see like it's related to what you studied or what you've been doing before or related to your experience. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that was also challenging in its own right.
Yeah.
Just like to get your footing within the workforce.
Yeah.
Those are the two that I can think of on the top of my head.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good because then you had to work on establishing a new network of the sort. So how was
Exactly.
that for you? How has networking played its role in one, you being able to establish your business before that actually? Because you are also in corporate.
Yes.
What did you study?
I studied law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
now in your corporate setting, you are in the legal field of
Yes. Yeah, I'm in the legal field right now.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's very different than
Yeah, it is very
yes.
different.
Yeah, which is fine. But like the last, so you are Flavors of Savannah. I don't even remember if I
Oh, we
mentioned
didn't even
the
talk about
name
it.
of your
Yeah.
business, right?
Yeah.
Flavors of
Yes.
Savannah. But like my background is in architecture and construction. Okay, project
Yeah.
management, and I'm here talking to
Yeah.
you about Canadian
I
Immigrant.
know.
So like sometimes like or what we are meant to be or what meant to do aren't necessarily what we went to study,
Exactly.
especially as
Yeah.
children of immigrants. You gotta go. So I studied
Yeah.
architecture, you studied law,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
next thing is
Yeah.
engineer or whatever, and that's
That's true.
immigrant
You're doing
children.
something else. Yeah. Yeah. That was going to be my other thing I was going to talk about. Like when you immigrate to a new place, don't be scared to go out of your comfort zone. As much as we
Yeah.
come with that mindset of like, oh, when I get there, I want to be a lawyer. When I get there, I want to be in the legal field. When I get there, I want to be in architecture, whatever it is that you want to do. Like there's so many other things that you could be doing, so many other places that you could put your like your skills to. And there's so many opportunities out there outside of because like you said that as an immigrant or children of immigrants, we just like think that it's only like the straightforward way, but there's so many other things you could be doing with the skills that you already have.
Yes.
And building on the passions that you already have
Yeah.
is actually a good way to look at things. As much as you can also have your like your real job, but also look into other things that like you can build on and spend your time on as well, I think.
Yes, yes to that,
Yeah.
right? And I wanna debunk the real job thing because like entrepreneurship is hard work.
Yeah, it
It's
is. It
hard work,
is.
right? And nobody really taught us how to do it because we were grown up as get good grades, get a good job, all these
Hmm.
wonderful things, which is not a bad thing. It's just
Yeah,
like there's so much more out there that we can explore.
exactly.
And why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, um, your Flavors of Savannah. So that's
Yes.
the name of your business, Flavors of
Hmm.
Savannah, right? And you operate in the capacity pop-up sometimes, catering sometimes. What is
Hmm.
the future vision? What's the vision for Flavors of Savannah?
Oh my goodness. The vision is big. The
Tell
vision
me.
is so big. So outside of, I'm trying to see down the line, a couple
Mhm.
years from now, I want to make it a cultural experience. So I want people who are interested to learn more about Zimbabwe,
Yeah.
who want to learn more about our food, take them back home with me.
hmm hmm
Take them to all these places, like I mentioned, Mereki, where you can experience the real Mereki. Take them to
hmm
Gumchati, where you can experience the Muchata food. Take them to Kumusha, where they can experience the Kumusha food. That's where I want to take it. I want it to be a cultural experience. I want it to be more of, I'm not sure if I wanted to grow into like a proper restaurant because
hmm
that sounds so overwhelming right now, but you never know.
You never know.
You never know,
hmm
yes. But like my whole idea is just for it to be a cultural experience, for the dishes to tell a story.
hmm
So that may be in a restaurant, that may be as a pop-up, to continue as a pop-up, that may be wherever the Lord takes me, to be honest. But I just want it to be a cultural experience. That's where my idea is, like flavors from the Savannah is just a
Ah,
cultural experience from the Savannah.
cool.
That's where the idea comes from. Yes.
Cool. And so since
Yeah.
you are a catering and pop-up for Restaurant Week, so Restaurant Week, if you
Mhm.
don't know already, is starting on May the 12th. So it's Restaurant Week by Blacks.com, showcasing and highlighting Black excellence, immigrant excellence in the food industry. So say, where will you be for Restaurant Week? Where can people find you?
So for me, I will be doing my two dishes, which I
Yeah.
spoke about, which is muchato and kumusha. I will be doing those on May 17th and May 18th. As
Okay.
I said, I have a real job, so mine is only going to be on the weekend.
We're gonna say we
Um,
have a 9 to 5. We're not gonna call it a real job. We have a 9 to 5. Monday to
yeah.
Friday. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so it's going to be Saturdays and Sundays. And I will be offering those two meals at a discounted price of $10. They are typically
Cool.
$20.
Yes.
And those will be available for pickup in Halifax at downtown Halifax at a location that I will let my customers know.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, your
Yeah.
customers might be watching this. I know people from Nova
That's
Scotia.
true. That's true.
Do
You
we do
never
we know the
know.
location
You
yet?
never know.
Do
Sorry?
you know the location yet? Or you
Oh,
still
downtown Halifax. I do know the location, but it's like on Creighton Street.
okay.
Creighton Street.
Creighton
Yeah.
Street. Okay. So
Yeah.
we will link it below because I know people and I came to Nova Scotia, right?
That's
Maybe I'm hooked
true.
up. I'm a
That's
little
true.
bit
You
hooked
do
up.
know people. You're
I know
connected out here.
people. This is networking, okay? So I can send people your way. I can let them know that, okay, go
Oh,
get
that's
a
nice. Thank
$10
you.
Zimbabwe dish. Absolutely.
Please
Um,
do.
yeah. And I mean, I'd love to taste it. You're gonna have to, taste it for me and tell me all about it. I was
Yeah.
vegetarian
And
at one
African
point.
food and Caribbean food is so similar because I do have
Mm-hmm.
a meal on there too that's oxtail, and I know you guys are big on oxtails. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
similar. Our dishes
Okay.
is so similar. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So I've been doing this mini series over the last 6 weeks. We're in week 4 this week. And what I started is asking, what's one thing you wish you knew before Canada? Now, you were born in Canada, so you're a little bit
Mhm.
different, but you left when you were 3 and you came
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
back
yeah, yeah.
when you were
18 or 9. I think I
18
was
or
18
19,
in
right? And
2019.
I came to
Yes.
Canada when I was like in my very early 20s as well. So, I mean,
Yeah,
close, right? So we were born in the same year.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Exposing our age.
yeah. Oh my God. What's one thing you wish you knew before returning to Canada? Like you didn't have to go to the
Mhm.
immigration journey, but you still
Mhm.
had that experience of coming to a foreign country,
Exactly.
though it was your country of
Yeah.
your birth. What's one thing you
Yeah.
wish you knew before coming to Canada? Then I'll ask you one thing you wish you knew before becoming an entrepreneur.
Mhm. I think one thing I thought I knew before I came here was the opportunities are limitless.
Mhm.
The sky is the limit. I feel like, as I was talking about earlier, like I was just onset on like going to school, finishing that. And I feel like if I had worked more, like I feel like Canada gives you an opportunity to work more on your passions, maybe in comparison to back home. So if I had known that the opportunities are out there outside of just going to school and being career driven, I think I would have started specific things earlier, built more on my entrepreneurial side a little bit earlier. I think that's one thing that I wish I knew more
Yeah.
about the opportunities that are out there for business owners,
Mhm.
people to walk you through all these like ideas, because as a creative person, you have all these ideas in your head, and like you just like there are opportunities for people to give you direction for the
Yes.
direction that you need. Yes, I wish I knew that earlier, definitely.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like you answered the two questions in one, right? The
Okay.
coming back and also as a business owner. But
Yeah.
what advice would you give to other immigrants who are interested in starting a business? It doesn't have to be the food industry, because
Yeah.
it's like even though you're in the food industry, you have to, do
Yeah.
inventory control. There's so much that comes into play that
Yeah.
relates to other industries as well. So what's other advice that you'd give to immigrants who are thinking of starting a business?
I just say just start. Start, just that idea that you have. The best thing that you can do is just start. It might be small, it might be big. It seems like it's so big. It seems like it's unattainable, but like at least just start. Everything else will fall into place, but at least just start. That
Awesome.
would be my advice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just do it, Mike.
Just do it. Exactly. Just do it, and look for people who are also in maybe similar fields, just to talk to, even if it's like it's just an idea, you're not too sure. Look to people who will give you positive advice within the same field, and will just motivate you to, just go for it. Just start.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And have you had to Canadianize your food?
I try not
Or
to.
felt the pressure to?
I try not to,
Yeah.
but because when I did it first, when I was talking about during COVID,
Yeah.
the whole name thing,
Yeah.
like they weren't named what they're named now.
Ah.
So back then I tried to name them something that's relatable, that's not too like intimidating for other people. Like name something that they're familiar with. Yeah, exactly. Like just say like, oh, chicken, whatever, quarter chicken and chips, something like that. Like I don't remember exactly what it was, but there is pressure to do that. But I feel like because if you know your product is good, if you know what you're selling is good, if you know that your business is good in its own right, there is no need to try to conform, especially if it's something that's more not the ordinary stuff that people are, used to. At least let your brand tell a story. Let people, I feel like it makes it more interesting. Yeah. But there is that pressure though. Sometimes there is that pressure, but like you just have to go with your gut, I guess.
Yeah. That's good.
With your gut and just stick to what you know, because sometimes even if you try to Canadianize stuff and like not do what you're used to, you then end up not having organic product, I guess is the word.
Or authentic. Yeah.
Authentic, whatever the word is there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing advice. I mean, that's always, a question that, we would ask for people in the restaurant business, because, you have to cater to a big, wide palette, and there's opposite ends of the spectrum sometimes.
Yeah. But the people who are interested in your customers will come back. That's the thing. Your customers will be your customers. People who are interested in your product will come. Those who are not, that's fine. It's not their thing, and that's okay. You cater to the people who are interested in what you're selling. I feel like that's what makes sense. Yeah.
Awesome. So to get into the corporate world, because a lot of people right now, Canadian immigrants, people on work permits, people who are permanent residents and citizens who are trying to, break into the work world. A lot of people are applying online. They're not getting any responses. You've worked you're now in government, but you've worked in a couple other industries. How did you ease your way into the job market there? What was that like for you?
Okay, so basically, I think I figured out that you need to be like, as much as you'd want this like dream job at the beginning, but like the way I approached it was I started temping. So temping doesn't pay that much. It's a little bit over minimum wage, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what it is now, but like back then. So it's basically you'd have like short-term contracts, sometimes like a month, sometimes 3 months in different government agencies. And then that helped me create the relationships with different people and different agencies and different departments, which then they would refer me to other positions as well, and send me positions that fit my resume and that they believed I would have been a good fit for. So temping helped to like just kind of navigate that part of moving to a new country.
Got it. And so then from one employer, you kind of you made enough connections. There's really a network that you used to get into the previous position and your current position.
So the current position was through temping a little bit, but like because what happens sometimes with temping is like even after the contract ends, sometimes they're looking for a permanent person, sometimes they're not. So it always depends on the position. So but like by creating those relationships, a person can refer you to another person for a permanent position, or
within the same organization.
Exactly. You have that upper hand because you've already worked within that same organization, but like a different department or whatever. And then they can just refer you to another person for a permanent position.
Cool. Okay. So don't rule out having a temporary job. Like for some
it doesn't pay well. It doesn't pay that well, but like that shouldn't discourage you from those temping positions because they can open doors for you. In the long run. Exactly.
So you're being paid to network. Let's call it that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
That's pretty much it.
Perfect. So where can people find you on social media?
So you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Flavors from the Savannah. Flavors without the U, and Savannah with the H.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. And
Or
any
you can
words?
email me as well. You can email me too on flavorsfromthesavannah@gmail.com.
Okay. And that's flavors without the U. I spelt it wrong all the time, the whole time.
Exactly. It's the American and the British thing that's confusing.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Any words of advice that you want to leave people with as a Canadian immigrant or as a business owner, whatever speaks to you that you want to leave with the people?
I think I would love to leave with the people, my fellow immigrants. Be yourself. Stick to who you are. Don't feel the pressure to conform. As I was talking about earlier, the people who are attracted to your brand will still come to your brand, whether it's not their norm or not. If they're interested, they will come. So be yourself, stick to your roots, remember where you came from, and everything will work out. And just start. Whatever you're doing, just start. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, this was great. It was amazing to get to know you. I look forward to being able to taste your food one day when I visit Nova Scotia again. I will come back. I look
forward to it too. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. If this video resonated with you, or if you have fellow people in Nova Scotia that need to go and check out some food in Nova Scotia, they can go to Flavors from Savannah, find out where she is. Of course, if they follow her on social media, then you'll figure out where the next pop-up is or the next event is, or where she'll be set up for Restaurant Week. So Restaurant Week, you will be participating on the 17th and the 18th, which is a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yes.
And they will be able to find you at the location that we're going to link in the description so that you guys can find it, right?
Yeah.
But I look forward to hearing people's experiences. If this video was helpful for you, please hit that like button, subscribe for more helpful videos like this, and share it with somebody who you know who is from Zimbabwe and or Nova Scotia to go check out this food. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.